Jim, what can we expect?
For more reports on dangerous conditions, you can see it's right at flood stage. For more information to help make getting around safer. We're on your side to help make harsh weather easier to handle. So stay with the spirit of the Northwest.
The latest on Northwest flooding tomorrow on Channel 2 News this morning.
Democrats and Republicans say they have been listening to the public, and now Congress forces the lobbyists to go public. Fighting prostitution by punishing the customers and, in some cases, their families. And what really happened to an American lost at sea.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the lobbyists. The right to petition government is as old as the Constitution, and most Americans have someone in Washington representing them in some sort of way. But it is government by the lobbies with the most amount of money that the public is so upset about. And ever so slowly, the message has been getting through. Today, the House of Representatives has taken another important step to keep the influence of money under control. Our first report is from ABC's John Cochran.
Believe it or not, there they were, true blue liberals and honest-to-goodness conservatives, working together, changing a 40-year-old law with so many loopholes that it has permitted many lobbyists to disguise their political activities.
It's the reason that only 6,000 people register as lobbyists when it is estimated that 60,000 to 80,000 people actually lobby Congress and lobby the executive branch.
The tough new bill that sailed through the House requires that anyone who spends more than 20% of his or her time lobbying must register on Capitol Hill. The Senate has already passed the bill, and President Clinton will sign it into law.
It requires people who are paid to lobby to disclose who is paying them, how much they're being paid, what issues they are lobbying the Congress or the executive branch on.
We're here to talk about Medicare and Medicaid bills.
Some lobbyists use information to advance their cause. Others use their checkbooks. Earlier this month, the House voted to ban all gifts, whether a T-shirt or a free trip to a golf resort or a gourmet meal at a pricey restaurant.
And the passage of the gift legislation and the lobby legislation means that those forces are no longer unseen, and this Congress is no longer going to be wined and dined.
But Congress is still susceptible to influence from campaign contributions. Linda Smith is an angry newcomer to Congress.
This place is used to the campaign money, and they're used to what's happened for years.
Pat Schroeder is a weary 24-year veteran who, like Freshman Smith, wants more than a ban on gifts.
I don't worry about the T-shirt as much as I do the tens of thousands of dollars in campaign money. So I'm glad the T-shirts are gone, but please, people, this is not the core of what's making this place begin to reek.
Will there be real campaign finance reform before next year's election? No one knows, but members do know if they can pass that one, they really will have something to brag about back home. John Cochran, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
One other note about Representative Pat Schroeder of Colorado. She's going to leave the Congress, the 21st member to leave or to say she will leave this year. She is the senior woman in the House of Representatives, and she has been a prominent spokesperson for women's rights and the environment, among other things. President Clinton left domestic politics behind for a few days. He is traveling to Britain, to Ireland, and elsewhere in Europe to meet with America's allies. ABC's Brit Hume reports tonight on his first stop.
Mr. Clinton came to London for the first time as president to find part of his diplomatic mission already accomplished by last night's agreement here that will get the stalled Northern Ireland peace process going again. Still, the president and Prime Minister Major had plenty to talk about behind that fabled black door at number 10 Downing Street. Bosnia, for example, on which Major hailed the U.S. brokered peace agreement as a breakthrough deserving the military support of both countries.
We both agree that it's vital to deploy a genuinely effective implementation force to Bosnia as soon as the peace agreements come into effect.
And Major managed to give Mr. Clinton at least some of the credit for getting those Northern Ireland peace talks going.
I think the fact that the president was coming concentrated the mind.
Later, in an ornate chamber in Westminster Palace, the president addressed both houses of Parliament in tribute to the U.S.-British alliance and in answer to voices in both countries who argue against involvement in places like Bosnia.
They once lured the United States into isolationism after World War I. They counseled appeasement to Britain on the very brink of World War II. We have gone down that road before. We must never go down that road again. We will never go down that road again.
As the President and First Lady were greeted by the Queen and Prince Philip this afternoon, Bill Clinton, who once promised the presidency focused on the U.S. economy, was making his second foreign trip this month as he simultaneously pursues peace in the Middle East, Bosnia, and Northern Ireland. Britt Hume, ABC News, London.
We have two notes from Bosnia itself tonight. The first American soldiers arrived in Tuzla today. Colonel John Brown told reporters they are there to prepare for the larger U.S. deployment, which begins next week. They'll have to begin with the airport. Taxiways must be widened, equipment upgraded, and hundreds of landmines removed. Outside Sarajevo today, thousands of Serbs demonstrated against losing 3 suburbs of the capital city that will now come under the control of the Bosnian government. Sarajevo is Serb, their sign said, but that was part of the peace agreement, that it will go to the government. The Serbs say they do not want to be ruled by the Bosnian government they fought against. Still ahead, some of the other news. The Supreme Court now has greater involvement in a case involving a family car. Why so many professional sports teams are leaving their fans behind. And Russia's prima ballerina, 70 years young.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Tylenol.
I'm glad you made it to the reunion.
Oh, I can't believe it's been 20 years.
You okay?
I could use some Tylenol.
Here.
Oh, ibuprofen? No, I can't. I had an ulcer.
Really? My husband had an ulcer.
Oh, he should be careful. My doctor says ibuprofen can aggravate an ulcer. Tylenol just works great.
If you're using ibuprofen, Tylenol may be safer for you. Talk to your doctor.
20 years later, you've still given me the answers.
Are you ever going to listen?
These vegetables are about to be perfectly steamed, like food has never been steamed before, in the Black & Decker Handy Steamer. Because deliciously steamed food requires perfect timing.
Hey, you, look what Betty Crocker's whipped up, a sinfully sweet strawberry bar.
Ooh.
That's totally fat-free.
Fat-free?
That's right. Now all the best of Betty's in a fat-free, ready-to-eat strawberry bar. New sweet rewards.
Betty, you ought to get a reward for these.
At the Supreme Court today, the justices heard arguments about whether the government should be allowed to take property that is linked to a crime. Prosecutors say the practice deters criminals. A Michigan woman is arguing that it may punish the wrong people. Here's ABC's Tim O'Brien.
To fight prostitution, Detroit in 1988 began a public awareness campaign focusing on the customers, the so-called Johns. Their cars would be confiscated if used to pick up hookers.
If you're dumb enough to solicit a prostitute in Wayne County, don't be surprised if you lose your car.
But Tina Bennis was very surprised. Her husband was arrested on this residential street after Detroit police observed him having sex with a prostitute in the family's 1977 Pontiac. They seized the car even though she was the co-owner.
I couldn't believe it was happening. You know, I hadn't done anything wrong. I was innocent. And living in America, I thought this doesn't happen.
Bennis's lawyer told the Supreme Court today it is unconstitutional to punish an innocent wife for what her husband had done. Lawyers for the state of Michigan insisted there's nothing unusual about holding the owner of a car responsible for its use.
If on the night in question, John Bennis, instead of picking up the prostitute, had run his car into the prostitute could have sued John and Tina Bennis under Michigan law for untold amounts.
Detroit police have no qualms about seizing an innocent person's car.
It's very simple. A person is responsible for their vehicle, be it their co-owners or whatever it might be.
All these are for prostitution here?
All of these as far back as you can see to the fence, all the way to the other fence.
The Bennis' car was one of the first to be seized, but in the years since, more than 9,000 cars have been taken. At any given time, there are 200 to 300 cars here. And prosecutors say it works. Rarely is there a repeat offender.
I believe, as well as many of the people in the community, it is the only program that is effective in dealing with prostitution.
The question for the Supreme Court is not how well the program works, but whether the innocent may be required to give up property to pay for the guilty's crime. Tim O'Brien, ABC News, Detroit.
In New York City today, a little girl was buried with all the attention she did not get during her life. Hundreds of people attended the funeral of Eliza Izquierdo. She was 6 years old last week when she was beaten to death. Here's ABC's Catherine Cryer.
At Elisa's funeral today, everyone was talking about accountability.
By the neglect and the laziness of child welfare institutions and officers.
How could so many reports of abuse have been ignored? A cousin tried to get custody of Elisa when her father died in 1994, but the family court judge followed child welfare recommendations and gave the girl to her mother. Then teachers began to report concerns about abuse to child welfare. The director of a family support agency wrote to child welfare in February to report Elisa's neglect. Never a response.
We can communicate with them. They will not communicate back with us. They hide behind the fact that everything is confidential.
Dr. O'Connor followed up with 4 phone calls to her caseworker in April and May.
He said he couldn't come. He had too many cases to call him back.
This child welfare supervisor, who did not want to be identified, said the emphasis is not on children, but on caseloads.
The workers who are considered the best workers are the ones who seem to be able to move the cases out quickly.
New York Governor George Pataki pledges to break the silence protecting child welfare departments.
We want the federal government to change it, to allow us at the state level to give authority to notify the public, to notify the media, to let them know facts.
There are lots of fatalities the press doesn't know anything about.
For Elisa Izquierdo, there are only prayers and apologies. Catherine Cryer, ABC News, New York.
More news in just a moment.
A sparkling ship on crystal waters is coming.
Absolutely gorgeous. It was so much fun.
The perfect lobster is coming.
Our waiters, they would do anything for us, any time.
Perfection is coming.
A gift from the captain.
Memories are coming. 7 days in Royal Caribbean's Mexican Riviera are coming. You've got some Royal Caribbean coming.
I'll have the chili.
Chili? You should know better.
And I'll have the fries.
Fries? You should know better.
And now I'll have the Mylanta.
Mylanta? You should know better.
You should know. Tums works fast to help knock out heartburn. And while Mylanta liquid uses aluminum and magnesium,
Tums Ultra has calcium, something your body needs anyway. You'll like that.
I'll have the chili. I know. I should know.
Hey, check this out! Cowboys!
And look, Bulls, this is great.
Wow, Nike stuff!
Hey, this is 20% off.
My wife's gonna love this! Hey, go deep!
It's a great time to be Silver because you're over 50 and you haven't lost your edge. Now there's a Centrum made just for you. Centrum Silver for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be Silver.
Tonight, it sounds so good. Instead of traditional daycare, your kid's in the warmth of a private home. But our hidden cameras found children being struck with a belt, shut away alone in the dark. Who's watching these caretakers? Primetime is tonight.
In Washington today, a Senate committee was told by the National Football League commissioner that Congress should very much get involved in the business of football. What has brought this about is the feeling in several American cities now that the owners of football teams have far too much freedom to take whatever they can get from the city and the fans and then simply move on for a better money deal. Here's ABC's Armin Katayan.
Outside today's hearing, a rallying cry from Cleveland Browns fans protesting the proposed move of their team to Baltimore. Inside, backlash from mayors bitter over increasing demands by National Football League owners for state-of-the-art stadiums and sweetheart leases not to move.
We believe that Congress and only the Congress has the power to stop this insanity. And if you don't, no NFL community will be safe.
It's movement for money in the NFL. This season, Los Angeles was abandoned by the Raiders, who went back to Oakland, and the Rams, who relocated to St. Louis. Cleveland has committed to Baltimore, and 6 other clubs are being courted by cities hungry for NFL teams.
This will be your official jersey. All right.
Houston Oilers owner Bud Adams was lured to Nashville for next season by the guarantee that on this site, a new $292 million stadium would be built. Adams will also receive some $30 million a year in stadium revenue.
That was the price of getting a team to come to Nashville, but we agreed that it made sense for Nashville to, in effect, pay that price to have the team here, and I think it was a good decision.
Here in the capital of country music, opponents of the $115 million stadium financing package argue that $115 million could be better spent upgrading aging roads and sewers, hiring more police and firemen, or expanding an overcrowded school system that forces some students into portable classrooms on rooftops.
It's the wrong use of public monies. We need to address our crime issue, educational issue, environment issue, and infrastructure.
But for now, the issue in pro sports seems to be, if you build it, we will come. Armin Katayan, ABC News, New York.
In a number of places around the country today, tobacco companies and their critics were in court. They were making arguments about free speech and responsibility and how much the companies know about the health risks of cigarettes. Here's ABC's John Donovan.
In Kentucky, Jeffrey Wigand is under a court order not to talk about his old job. But this was Mississippi, where today Wigand became the highest-ranking tobacco industry executive ever to give deposition testimony in a lawsuit against the industry.
He was an insider for 4 years. He knows where the bodies are buried.
Along with the subpoena that ordered him to appear was a request for any documents he might have concerning falsification of records by Brown and Williamson, studies on addictive effects of tobacco, and misleading testimony by Brown and Williamson to federal investigators. Mississippi is one of 5 states suing the tobacco industry on behalf of their taxpayers. The states are demanding reimbursement by the companies for the billions of dollars the states say they have spent treating Medicaid patients who got sick smoking cigarettes. The state of Florida, for example, estimates that over a recent 5-year period, it spent $1.4 billion treating Medicaid patients who smoked. Historically, it has been individual smokers, not state governments, who have sued tobacco companies for payment of medical bills. But none of those people ever collected even a single cent. But the states that are suing the tobacco companies want to argue that taxpayers, even those who do not smoke, are injured parties, because they end up paying the bills for those who do smoke. In Boston, 5 tobacco companies went to court this week to block Massachusetts from suing.
What this suit is doing is seeking to single out a group of out-of-state manufacturers. You do not have a major cigarette company that manufactures cigarettes in Massachusetts, and basically say, why don't you guys give us $1 billion to pay all our Medicaid costs?
Today, the state of Massachusetts has to bear over $200 million in health care costs directly attributable to tobacco-related disease and illness.
In Mississippi, meanwhile, lawyers for the state said that after today's appearance, Jeffrey Wigand would be back to answer more questions. John Donovan, ABC News, New York.
In medical news today, a story that may bring some relief to many women with breast cancer. A report in the New England Journal of Medicine confirms the results of a 1985 study recommending that just the tumor be removed in the early stages of breast cancer instead of the woman having to have a full mastectomy. Thousands of women followed those recommendations before it was revealed that the study used fraudulent data. Today's report finds that despite the problems, the conclusions are correct. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrials gained more than 27 points to close at 51.05. On the NASDAQ market, stocks gained more than 7 points. Back in just a moment.
I'm just not comfortable anymore.
Really?
I'd like something more contemporary, with more of the luxury, security, and room we've worked so hard for.
So you want a new house?
No, a Cadillac DeVille.
Now DeVille is better than ever because now it has the Northstar system and its extraordinary combination of comfort, safety, security, and performance. Nothing else feels like DeVille from Cadillac.
But it would look great in a new driveway.
Hyperkeratosis? Symptom.
Persistent, itchy, flaky scalp. Solution, Neutrogena T-Gel. It works. Neutrogena T-Gel Shampoo.
Now, all the strength of Imodium AD is concentrated in the smallest, easiest to swallow anti-diarrheal caplets ever made. So powerful they can work in one dose instead of dose after dose of the pink stuff. New concentrated caplets, only from Imodium AD.
Ah, the good old days of supermarket shopping. When nothing stood between you and your next meal. Nothing. But today, there are materials that help lock out harmful contaminants and reduce spoilage, keeping us safe and the food we eat fresh. Plastics make it possible. So now, the rest is history.
When I was young, Mom was always making sure I ate right. It wasn't always easy. Well, now we're listening to our doctors and taking better care of our health with Ensure. Ensure is recommended #1 by doctors as a source of complete balanced nutrition. More than a vitamin supplement, Ensure has all the nutrients adults need to help stay healthy, active, be energetic. Drink Ensure as a meal or in between. Ensure. To your health, Mom. To our health.
Ensure, recommended #1 by doctors.
Overseas today, there were elections for parliament in Egypt, which are of great interest to the U.S. The United States gives enormous amounts of aid to Egypt every year and has long counted on Egypt as a stabilizing force in the Middle East. ABC's Bill Rediker reports from Cairo tonight on the concern about Egyptian democracy.
Before anyone cast a vote today, President Hosni Mubarak made sure his party would remain dominant. His government banned the most influential Islamic organization, the Muslim Brotherhood, from running as a political party. Just last week, 54 members of the Brotherhood, including potential candidates, were sentenced to prison by a military court. They were tried as a group for involvement in nonviolent political activities. Their political office was closed, their assets seized. International human rights groups protested, condemning Mubarak for undermining the electoral process.
We asked him to release them, and we made an appeal to the president to open rather than narrow the political space in Egypt.
Government officials insist today's election was free and fair. They say the crackdown on the Brotherhood is part of Mubarak's drive against terrorism, including the recent bombing of the Egyptian embassy in Pakistan and the assassination of an Egyptian diplomat in Switzerland. But there has been no evidence that the Brotherhood was involved in those crimes, and the group's record of charitable work and its public condemnation of violence have made it the most popular opposition movement here. Although Mubarak has made sure that his party will stay firmly in control by treating Islamic moderates as terrorists, he may have unwittingly created political martyrs who could one day pose a greater threat from outside the system. Bill Rediker, ABC News, Cairo.
Still overseas, an American lost at sea. Last Friday, as the aircraft carrier America was preparing to enter the Persian Gulf, Marine Lance Corporal Zachary Mayo fell off the ship and disappeared. ABC's John McWethy has the rest of the story.
For 3 days, the Navy searched for 20-year-old Lance Corporal Mayo, finally giving up on Monday. In Idaho, Mayo's parents said Marine Corps officers came to their door with bad news about their only child.
They came in and told us that our son was missing, and there were no clues.
We just grabbed each other and hung on and just started praying that Zachary will be okay.
What no one knew was that after 36 hours in the water, Zachary Mayo had miraculously been picked up by a fishing boat and taken to a Pakistani seaport. Mayo had used his pants as a flotation device as he had been taught in Marine survival training. Once in Pakistan, he got some help making a phone call home.
This guy from Pakistan, he comes on and he goes, Stanley Mayo? And I go, yes. He goes, would you like to speak to Zachary Mayo? And I go, yes, I would like to speak to Zachary Mayo.
Right now.
And Zach got on the phone and he goes, hi, Dad. How are you? Real calm voice, you know. I go, I'm doing fine. How are you? And where in the hell are you?
It was his parents who were the first to tell the Marine Corps that Lance Corporal Zachary Mayo, lost at sea last Friday, had been found, very much alive. John McWethy, ABC News, the Pentagon.
The good news today. We'll have some more in a moment.
Last week we thought we had a 24-hour bug.
But we may have had a mild case of salmonella poisoning.
It came from bacteria, which was spread around our kitchen to other foods.
Now we use Lysol antibacterial kitchen cleaner. As it cleans, it kills the bacteria and keeps them from spreading.
Which may help keep us from getting sick. Get Lysol antibacterial kitchen cleaner.
Viruses, bacteria, even illness may be creeping into your home because mice can carry disease, so don't go near them. Put Decon mouse-proof baits wherever mice feed to get rid of them fast. And protect your family from the threat. Decon mouse-proof. Protect your home. Protect your family.
Mother would say furniture spray. You're never too busy to use Old English oil, but this is Old English spray. It has a touch of Old English oil to help protect and moisturize wood every time you clean. It's the kind of furniture spray you could bring home to Mother. Give your wood the Old English treatment.
How much closer are our precision heads? Our innovative lift and cut system? How much better is the latest Norelco? In a word, we've never brought you closer. The Norelco Razor, our closest shave ever.
It happens in the hospital. It happens at home. When heartburn flares up, the #1 choice of hospitals is fast-acting Maalox. Hospitals can count on it for speed, and that's just what you need. Maalox, the first choice for hospitals, the fast choice for home.
I'm Paul Lindman. Coming up on Channel 2 News at 6:30, rivers run wild, putting homes 10 feet underwater. Can we keep our heads above water before November runs out? And if you missed the exploding whale, we'll tell you what happened since our series at 6:30.
Finally tonight from Moscow, in admiration. The great Russian ballet dancer Maya Plisetskaya once said she intended to keep on dancing until she was 100. Well, it seemed a whimsical thought at the time, but last night Plisetskaya celebrated her 70th birthday, and she was dancing in Moscow. ABC's Richard Gisbert.
It was a performance, said her fans, worthy of a ballerina half her age. Maya Plisetskaya played The Dying Swan, a ballet legend in which a swan gracefully, and in this case symbolically, resists the effects of aging. It was the same role that won her international recognition decades ago.
Every time I enter that stage, it is something unbelievable. After over 50 years, it feels like starting from scratch. Every time is just like the first time.
Plisetskaya's career is all the more remarkable given her background. Her father was declared an enemy of the people under Stalin, executed in 1938. She and her mother were exiled to Siberia, and upon joining the Bolshoi, Plisetskaya was not allowed to tour to prevent her defecting to the West. She questioned authority, both political and artistic, fighting to perform Carmen in the 60s when it was censored for obscenity. The Bolshoi was like the Soviet Union, she said, held together by slavery and fear. Now, the Soviets' black sheep is Russia's queen. Plisetskaya wants to live until life is good in Russia. I still don't like what's happening in my country, she has said, but the Bolshoi is my home. Richard Gisbert, ABC News, Moscow.
And that is our report on World News Tonight. Later on Primetime Live, a hidden camera report undercovers abuse at private home daycare. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Wednesday, will Ellen take sides in a family feud?